Hello, good evening. Welcome, Manchester. Thank you for joining us for this first meeting in the Greening America's Communities design process for creating green corridors in Manchester. Green corridors are identified as a strategy in both the mobility and infrastructure chapters of the neighborhood plan. Pardon me. That plan was adopted last year. Pardon me. Green corridors are park-like streets that provide safe passage. I'm sorry, I'm having problems.
It's okay. You've got this.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We're going to share what we're about to do this evening.
Yes, so green corridors are park-like streets that provide safe passage for a variety of users, and that might include pedestrians, bicyclists, or vehicles. They also incorporate green infrastructure that can be stormwater retention or planters that clean our air. So the Environmental Sustainability Action Team from the neighborhood planning process, Manchester Citizens Corporation, and the city collaborated on applying for this technical assistance opportunity from the EPA. And thankfully we were awarded. This is the first step in improving access between Manchester, Chateau, and the riverfront. So tonight is the first in a series of meetings. We also have an Engage page for this project, and Zolna will dive further into that during this meeting. But there are a variety of activities that you can, give your input on this project. There's a timeline, and I encourage you to go onto that page frequently over the next weeks and months and continue participating. At the end of this process, we will receive conceptual designs, and our hope is that these designs can be replicated on other streets throughout the neighborhood. LaShawn, I'm gonna pass it to you.
Thank you very much, Stephanie, for sharing exactly our process for this evening. I would like to say good evening, beautiful Manchesterians, and welcome to this evening's event. I also want to say that this evening's event, as Stephanie had already shared, is one of a few, and this is one that was originally planned and canceled due to COVID-19 and the state going into code red. In acknowledging that, I want to embrace everyone via Facebook, and I want to share that we have been impacted by trauma since March, but we are resilient people. I want to be clear that we have a journey ahead, and it takes all of us collectively lifting each other to get a present and a future that we can all live with and be proud of. And with that in mind, may this process reflect how we navigate our community, our way. I want us to have fun and engage. Again, this is a result of the neighborhood comprehensive planning process and diving deeper into that. So now we're seeing activity and behavior based on our plan. I'm going to turn it over to Clark Wilson, and he's going to take it from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie Joy, and thank you, LaShawn, for those inspiring words to get us going. Hello, everyone. I'm Clark Wilson. I'm with EPA's Office of Community Revitalization here in Washington, D.C. Joined on this broadcast with my colleagues, Hollis May Key from our office in D.C., as well as Betty Barnes, who's in our Philadelphia office. So I bring you greetings from all of us. So I'm kind of a type A personality person, and I always sort of think of all the things that could go wrong. And, you know, we awarded Pittsburgh in 2018, if you can believe this. And so, yeah, we had a government shutdown, and that's like, okay, government. And then we had contracting problems. Okay, that's bureaucracy. But nowhere did I think a global pandemic was going to come into play. But regardless, here we are. I'm glad to finally get this going. A little bit about our office. We've been known with different names over the past 25 years as either the Smart Growth Program or the Office of Sustainable Communities. Maybe next year we'll be known as something different. But basically, we're a small office in the Office of Policy where we work with communities on growth and development issues, because where and how you grow affects the environment. And so we provide a lot of technical assistance to communities on a variety of topics. About 10 years ago, though, we decided that we wanted to provide some design assistance, specific design assistance, to help communities visualize what green infrastructure would look like in their communities and how it can make their communities better. So we award about 4 communities a year with that. For this round, your sister communities are Birmingham, Alabama, Bernalillo County, New Mexico, and the Shoshone-Bannock tribes in Idaho. And for this round, our office partnered with our Office of Air and Radiation's Heat Island Reduction Program. And a shout out to Victoria Ludwig in that office, because we wanted to explore the use of green infrastructure beyond stormwater management, but also in heat island mitigation issues and how you can start lowering the ambient temperature in your neighborhood by the use of green infrastructure. And so we provide this assistance, and we hire landscape architects to do this design work. Because quite frankly, they are the profession on the forefront of these issues. And full disclosure, my background's in landscape architect, so I'm a little biased there. So we are pleased that for this round, we hired Flora Teeter Landscape Architects out of Baltimore, Maryland. We worked with them a few years ago in a project in Reading, Pennsylvania, so we're glad that we brought them back to your state. And with that, I'd like to pass it over to Zolna Russell, who will be our facilitator for the evening, and her colleague, Jeremy Frederick.
Did you want to talk about the team in-house or?
I can't, I'm afraid it's too small on the screen. I can't see it, so. You'll handle that.
I'll handle that. Thank you. So I'm Zolna Russell. I'm with Flora Teeter Landscape Architects. And as Clark said, we're absolutely thrilled to be part of the team for this evening and to offer our experience and expertise to the Manchester Chateau neighborhoods. We have, this is, as with all projects, a team effort. So in addition to the EPA team that Clark mentioned and our design team, there have also been quite a number of folks from the city of Pittsburgh and from the Manchester Chateau neighborhood. So some of the people that are involved are listed here. So we're happy to have everybody's feedback. And as Stephanie Joy mentioned, we hope you'll go on to the Engage page and continue to provide us with your insight about your neighborhood. So just wanted to take a minute to tell you about Flora Teeter. We are a landscape architecture firm, solely landscape architects, and we often work with communities to help them realize their vision. And our headquarters is based in Baltimore, Maryland, but we're also very proud to have a Pittsburgh office and a Philadelphia office. And Jeremy is based in our Pittsburgh office. So we have several projects currently underway in Pittsburgh, and we're thrilled to be working in your community. So we do have landscape architects and arborists and LEED accredited professionals. So we hope to bring all that knowledge to your project. And as I mentioned, we do, our favorite projects are really working with the communities to help them realize their vision. And these are some of the examples of recent projects in Baltimore and other places. The one on the lower right is the project that Clark mentioned, which we recently completed for Reading, Pennsylvania. And it's actually, they recently issued a request for proposals to take this plan to the next step. So we like to think that our work is kind of seeds future development in the places where we work. So this is our agenda for this evening. We've introduced the team to you. We want to tell you a little bit about what the design process is going to look like, share some of our research on the context of Manchester Chateau, and then tell you exactly where the study area is, and then review some of the comments that we've already received on the Engage website, and then tell you about some design ideas we want you to consider, and then what the activities are going to be to collect additional information. And this is what the schedule looks like. So the Engage Pittsburgh website for Manchester Chateau has been up for about a week now. So if you haven't gone there, we really want you to tell us about your neighborhood, what you think the treasures of the neighborhood are, and what you think the challenges of the neighborhood are. And there are a couple different activities where you can either provide us with written comments, you can upload photos or videos, or even pin places on the maps that you either love or think need some work. We are currently at our first public meeting, and after this meeting, we are recording it on YouTube. That'll be posted on the Engage website. And then there is an open comment period for another week. So if you have colleagues, neighbors, friends, relatives who weren't able to attend this evening, there will be a number of different ways for them to watch the broadcast and to provide us with their comments. As the comment period is open, we're going to have a number of small stakeholder meetings with smaller groups to really dive into some of the issues that will inform these designs. And they are green infrastructure and combining that with the industrial uses we see in Chateau, connections and mobility, placemaking, stewardship, figuring out how these areas would get maintained and by whom, and then performance. Like, what do we want these areas to do and how is success measured? And then after the end of the comment period, we'll look at all the information that you've provided. We'll select 2 locations for more detailed design, and we'll come back in a second public meeting on November 8th to share those designs with you. And again, it'll be the same format on Facebook Live with YouTube recording and then an additional comment period of the week. So we have about a month roughly of time where we're gathering information and working on designs. And then after that, we'll be preparing a final report, which gets turned over to the community. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy. He's going to share some of the context that we have for your neighborhood. Oops, wait, wrong way.
Hi, everyone. Like Zolna said, I'm going to give a brief overview of our site analysis findings and talk a bit about the existing information we considered for the project. The Manchester and Chateau neighborhoods are really in an optimal location with adjacencies to North Shore, North Side, downtown, and many of the surrounding neighborhoods. and existing connections to the Three Rivers Heritage Trail Network and riverfront access and potential to strengthen those connections through projects like this one. And we explored some of the history of Manchester Chateau, understanding that at one time the two neighborhoods were once a continuous fabric across, and the impact of Route 65 cutting through and creating more industrial focused uses in the Chateau neighborhood while maintaining mostly residential in Manchester. As you see on this graphic, our project focus corridor, this was provided by the Department of City Planning and Manchester Citizens Corporation based on the greatest opportunity and impact for the project. So this includes Manhattan Street, Juniata Street, the 65 underpass, and finally Franklin Street to create a continuous connection and access down to the riverfront. Edsel. As many of you are aware, and we've already referenced, the Department of City Planning and its partners and stakeholders have created the Manchester Chateau Neighborhood Plan. Our project really aims to build on the recommendations of that plan with exciting opportunities to push ahead its goals and initiatives. Other guiding research and projects specific to our studies include the Relief Manchester and Chateau Urban Forestry Master Planning document, studies involving the short-term and long-term visions for Route 65, and as well as the traffic calming efforts that are already underway on Chateau Street. Our team looked at the potential for spur-off connections to some of the important resources of the communities, those being green spaces, institutions, cultural entities, and identified them as shown on this plan. This plan also illustrates how the strategies we'll discuss in the next part of the presentation can really grow outward and strengthen internal connections, and how important the connection between the two neighborhoods, which right now is kind of constrained at the underpass, how important that is for the neighborhood residents to access the opportunities across the neighborhoods. And we also studied existing vehicular and transit circulation in the neighborhoods. Currently, the 14, 17, and 18 bus lines make local and regional connections, and the terminus of the T rail line is within the limits of Chateau. So those make connections throughout the city and to the south of the city as well. Again, we're noting the high volume vehicular focus of Route 65 and the resulting long multi-lane streets of Chateau Street and Beaver Avenue, as well as the West End Bridge and their impacts on the communities today. From this plan, we can see the focus corridor does have the ability to make important linkages to existing transit and the opportunity to invest in creating safe and inviting spaces for pedestrian and bicycle connections, and really to start to gain back some of that overall share of the movement for pedestrian and bicycle. These findings that we were just looking at also support the goals of the mode emphasis map. This is from the neighborhood plan shown here. And this plan acts as a master plan for existing and proposed multimodal connections to guide future projects in the neighborhoods. We also studied environmental factors of the neighborhood. The large gray lines represent the rail and highway corridors around and through the neighborhoods and their impacts on things like connectivity, air quality, noise pollution. Tree coverage in the neighborhoods is rather low at 17% in Manchester and 5% in Chateau. And surface temperatures are the highest in Pittsburgh. So both of those really point to the need for increased canopy in conjunction with other strategies to make an impact on cooling and microclimate. Additionally, the Ohio River also presents, possibility for potential flooding impacts and combined sewer overflows during wet weather events. And these are some, I'm going to go through some photos around our project focus corridor. Manchester, of course, has its beautiful architecture and a great urban fabric already in existence. Some of the challenges of the existing streetscape, as you can kind of see in the top left photo, we have varying condition and size of sidewalks. Existing utilities can often be limiting for trees placement and green infrastructure. However, if you can plan these projects and coordinate them with larger efforts, there's usually opportunities to do all this work together. Here we're looking at the underpass under 65. Really, it's a highly vehicular prioritized space, like something similar to what you might see in a more rural setting, typically lacking consideration for safe, comfortable throughway for pedestrians. So we would be looking to shift that space to one really optimized for pedestrian circulation. And last but not least, the Chateau neighborhood really has a different feel from Manchester with its more industrial uses, and the roads are wide and open, really accommodating the truck movements more than anything. But we've seen a lot of great precedents for neighborhoods like this implementing strategies to really start to focus back on pedestrians and people-centered spaces. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here as well. I'll turn it back to Zona to push it ahead.
Thanks, Jeremy. So this is a picture of what the website looks like, and the address to get there is up here, but if you just bear with me a minute, I'm going to pull it up live. Hold on. Oops, maybe okay. Sorry. Oh, here we go. Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yep, I see it.
Okay. All right, sorry, I'm trying to share this on two screens. So this is the website, and this is what it looks like now. And so really what we're looking for in terms of feedback is, first of all, understanding what you want to tell us about your neighborhood. What are your neighborhood's treasures and challenges? And you can see several people have already posted comments. And then there is an opportunity, as I mentioned earlier, to also post pictures or videos or things you think are beautiful or things you think you want us to look at. And then you can also locate the same things on the map and also provide comments here. So we can see the comments in many different forms. And then in a few minutes, I'll tell you a little more about our activities that we have planned also on the website. So let me go back to the presentation. Okay, great. So hopefully you will join us on the website. And now we're going to talk a little bit about some of the ideas that we have that might help to enliven Manchester Chateau and also kind of address some of these issues that we've been talking about. So before we started, we established, when I say we, I mean Flora Teeter, Manchester Citizens Corporation, City of Pittsburgh, EPA, several design priorities for the project. The first was to create a green civic corridor on Manhattan Street. And this corridor should be a multimodal corridor to improve both walking and bicycle safety, to create green space to mitigate both stormwater and heat island, and create a streetscape that really encourages social interaction and physical activity. Now, I know we're sitting in a time where social interaction is not extremely safe, but we're hoping that, by the time we can get some of these projects installed, we'll be able to go out and hang with our neighbors again. Looking at the State Route 65 underpass, and as Jeremy mentioned, it really is a place primarily for cars at this point, and it is a barrier to the smooth connection between Manchester and Chateau. So we really want to take a look at that space, improving that space to really make it more intuitive to travel between the two neighborhoods, as well as make it a nicer place to be. And then looking at the Ohio River Green Corridor, which has been established as a connection through Franklin Street, and also getting people to the Three Rivers Heritage Trail along the river, and getting people from the trail into the neighborhoods to patronize the local businesses. So this is the study area as has been identified. Manhattan Street, starting at Western Avenue and going over to Juniata, down through the underpass over to Beaver, and then from Franklin to the river. And we've established 11 model strategies that we wanted to look at using in this area. Tree planting, traffic calming, road diet, WNRF, and I'm going to tell you all a little bit more about all of these things in a minute, the underpass, placemaking and public art, green infrastructure, community celebration space, tactical urbanism and pop-ups, and then the waterfront confluence. So the first model strategy is tree planting. And, you know, this one is really a no-brainer because trees offer so many benefits in urban environments. You know, they do help to mitigate heat island, they clean the water, they clean the air, they make neighborhoods a more pleasant place to be. And there are many studies that talk about how having a tree canopy increases property values and decreases crime. And as Jeremy mentioned, the narrow sidewalks and the utilities along the Manhattan Street corridor and in Chateau, some of the truck traffic may make it a little challenging to plant trees. But I think if we employ tree planting and some of the other strategies together, then we can make that happen. The second strategy we'd like to consider is traffic calming. Traffic calming is defined as the deliberate slowing of traffic in residential areas by narrowing roads, building speed bumps, or changing the texture of roads. And just to illustrate the point, we have provided some examples, and this is kind of a generic block along Manhattan Street. It doesn't necessarily delineate a specific location that we think this needs to take place. So this shows an enlarged sidewalk, 6 feet wide, with 2 foot zone for both seating and street lighting. Bump outs at the corners, which could also be planted or used for stormwater management. Narrowing of lanes, travel lanes to 10 feet, and then a 6-foot sidewalk on the other side. And 6 feet is what you typically need for 2 people to walk together comfortably. And so you would need that 6 feet without interferences like signage or stoops or any of those things. And then these images on the right are really to illustrate the ideas that we have, providing bump outs, which could be planted or could just provide more pedestrian refuge, creating crosswalks, which could be artistic and fun to help people cross safely, and then just making the street a more habitable place. The third strategy we'd like for you to consider is a road diet. And these are kind of shown in order of kind of intervention. So a road diet is more pedestrian and less traffic than traffic calming. So you can see here, Manhattan Street or Chateau could be narrowed down to 1 lane, which would allow a very generous sidewalk, so generous that you could have tables and chairs, you could have tree plantings or other gathering space, and still have the traffic going through. And again, we have some images here on the right-hand side to illustrate what that might look like. Going one step further is the WNRF. And if you're not familiar with this term, a WNRF is a living street. And it's an idea that was pioneered in the Netherlands, where the street is actually shared between pedestrians and vehicles. So while cars can still drive down this street, it's really kind of pedestrian space curb to curb, and the location for cars is carefully delineated, either with bollards, with paint striping, or other things. And there's a couple pictures again to illustrate that idea. This is an idea that's really gaining momentum here in the United States, and there are several Winnerf installations in cities like Seattle. So they are really something that transforms a street completely from vehicular oriented to tips it more in favor of the pedestrians and the bicyclists. So I wanted to just take a moment. I see we have some comments in the chat. So I'd like to take a moment to answer some of these questions. Sydney Smith says, why optimize for pedestrians? You can improve pedestrian access without making it the point of optimization. That seems to be non-utilitarian and very limiting for the future. I'm not 100% sure what you're getting at, Sydney, so maybe you can add some comments on the end. But right now, both Manchester and Chateau have very narrow pedestrian walks, and typically we do try and provide an optimal pedestrian environment to have people get out of their cars, it tends to be better all around. It's less pollution, there's less need for parking, it's better for the people in terms of wellness. And then your next question about community outreach, I'd like to turn it over to Stephanie Joy and LaShawn.
So we are using the Engage platform to try to reach more people in the neighborhood. The Engage site is available through smartphones, through the computer, and so that doesn't reach everyone. We realize that. So our partner MCC is also delivering hand copies of this presentation to members of the community that they know don't have internet access, for them to then write on and insert into MCC's mailbox. So we are trying in this time, but we recognize that, you know, the lack of in-person meetings means that some people might not
And
be
to
able
follow
to
up on that, this was supposed to take place back in March. Unfortunately, days before we were going to have this series in person here in the community room, everything got shut down. So we're trying our best to accommodate that and find other ways to be able to reach everyone. Hence the reason as well, we are leaving an open period, pretty extended open period. And as we are going through a series of meetings, having the engagement, the pages up that you'll be able to see or have seen a little bit of this evening as we've been navigating this presentation. If there are any additional questions or any additional documents that you would like to be able to comment or feel that you have robust engagement, do not hesitate to call, stop by MCC. I'd be happy to give you the presentation completely printed out, and you can do additional comments that way and or on all of these platforms that are available to you here this evening. Thank you for the question, and I'm glad you're engaged. And please, while you're at it, ensure that you bring others along and engage in whatever ways that you anticipate engaging.
One more question, LaShawn, about what percentage of the population do you think we've reached?
Well, we're about 32 minutes into this call. I'm not exactly sure as far as today is concerned. So I'm not sure if the question is targeted for the process that we're doing right now. But I'll just say I won't know those numbers until the evening is over.
And I'd just like to reiterate what both Stephanie Joy and LaShawn have said. I mean, ideally, we would be there in person. And, you know, the process is a little limited by the technology. So we are trying to offer as many options for comment as we can. And, as LaShawn said, it is possible to get printed out copies, or if you need a copy emailed, we can do that as well. So we're trying to make it as easy for people to comment as possible. So appreciate your interest and your thoughts. So thank you. So I'm just going to move on to some more strategies. Another strategy that can be used for enlivening streetscapes is wayfinding and branding. And this can take the place of many different things. It can be signage. It can be outlining the pathway from the river back to Manchester and vice versa by the use of icons inset into the paving, creating the artistic crosswalks that can also lead the way. So having this brand really helps to promote both the communities of Manchester and Chateau, and also it provides a more interesting streetscape. Model strategy number 6 is looking at the underpass connection. And as Jeremy noted, there's already a Chateau road diet project underway. And as far as I know, that's been pretty successful. So what we wanted to look at is a way to really make this a place where people might actually want to go, as well as a place where people are not afraid to go under to get from Manchester to Chateau and vice versa. So what you'll see here is a change in the way the traffic goes around the curve here. So we've tightened up this turn to make sure that you would have to slow down to make that turn. And then instead of having the curve go back, and you can see these dashed lines are the way the road is currently laid out, you would have to make a T stop at the signalized intersection to turn onto Beaver. We've provided some graphics on Beaver, which is also a traffic calming measure to force people to slow down when they encounter something on the road they're not used to seeing. Raised table crosswalks are also another technique that can be used to slow traffic. And that really creates kind of a seamless passageway from Chateau to Manchester and back again. Underneath the bridge, we are envisioning a plaza and then planting on either side of the bridge to really make this kind of a fun place to be. And we have some pictures to show you of places where that's already been done. This is one in the center here. This is a underpass that has some cool lighting and really makes it interesting and less foreboding. So placemaking and public art is model strategy number 7. And that kind of could go hand in hand with the a branding project. So public art always enlivens neighborhoods and can actually draw people to neighborhoods depending on what it is. For example, this bus sculpture, which is actually a bus stop here in Baltimore, actually became a tourist attraction because people just love, kind of climbing on it while they're waiting for the bus, or they just wanted to go and see it. So there are a number of different techniques that you can use to provide this wayfinding and placemaking, Instagram moments where people want to go and have their pictures taken, things like this, where this is just a piece, essentially chalk art on the sidewalk. And these ladies got on their bathing suits and pretended to go off the diving board. So it can really make things fun as well. Model strategy number 8 is incorporating green infrastructure. And this could be done either as part of a traffic calming strategy or separately. And as you can see from the images here, it can take place in the sidewalk or as part of the street, or even kind of a little of both, as the middle picture is here. I mean, green infrastructure is great because it also enables tree planting. It performs multiple functions, making places beautiful, absorbing stormwater, giving that and creating placemaking, as well as the importance of mitigating heat island. Model strategy number 9 is creating a community celebration space. And, vibrant communities always have something to celebrate. And I'm sure there are things already being celebrated in Manchester and Chateau. So one of the options for doing that is actually looking at a community celebration space under under the underpass, in the underpass. This is a picture of an event in Baltimore, which is held yearly, where they throw a big party under a highway, and lots of people attend. Creating community celebration space is also a great way to showcase local talent and connect communities. And then using tactical urbanism and pop-ups is a great way to test ideas. So these are things that can be even temporary installations, and things like painting the sidewalk or the street, as we just showed you in that previous picture, creating temporary planters, which can outline space and then be moved if the space is needed for other things, or even creating temporary pop-up parks and parking spaces. So all of these things provide venues for gathering, for events. And as I said, they activate the street, and you can do them as temporary installations, so that if for some reason it's decided that constrains the road too much, or it's not working out, then they can always be taken away and without a huge investment. And then the last model strategy is celebrating the waterfront confluence. So currently at the end of Franklin Street, there's a marina, and it basically terminates with the gate. So there's no opportunity for people to really get to the water, overlook the river, or connect with the trail. So what we're really looking for is a focal point there, which brings people from the trail into Chateau and into Manchester, which can, spur the creation of local businesses, or allows people from Manchester and Chateau to get to the trail. So again, we can
Zona, one thing I would like to add here, since this is a thoughts and questions box, is that I want to make very, very clear that all of these strategies that are being shared here this evening are simply an opportunity for the community to gather via Facebook. And again, this will be recorded and continued to be shared, as well as a printed copy. But this is actually our moment to think about the strategies that you've expressed here, and not necessarily any of these strategies being something that are actually happening without consensus and communication and dialogue amongst community residents. So, I want to make sure that everyone hears, both on the line and as this is continued to be able to be viewed, that if there are questions, if there are concerns, if there are additional ideas, any way that it takes for anyone to be able to share and give that, we will accommodate. Stop by MCC, email, whatever means we're using, go on these websites. I don't want anyone feeling that decisions have been made, because that is not the case here. But that's just my 2 cents. I'd like to open the floor for additional thoughts and questions. I will also add one more little thing, is that this evening's event in this series throughout this event are a result of our neighborhood comprehensive planning process that led us to wanting to look at safe and healthy streets more in depth. I'll leave that there.
And LaShawn, I want to build off of your comments, and then Jonathan and Renee's comments, and to just to kind of ground us in why EPA is doing this. And it is exactly right. This is about starting a conversation in your community, and in several of the other communities, we actually sort of have helped initiate the conversation about how they would like to improve. In your case, this is, we like that this could augment the planning work that you've already done. And so this is all meant to be very preliminary. Trust me, we are not paying these consultants money to have any finalized designs. This is all really basic early on conceptual ideas that then you all can take on with you to do some more community involvement and start developing over time, because obviously more things have to go in, like traffic analyses, funding, like all those things. So this is just to get the conversation going. Nothing is set in stone.
And Clark, thank you for that, because all those fun things are the hard things where we get to really be a think tank and have vision and sort of walk through a process of, if we had our wish list and we could put everything on it, what would that look like? And then you work backwards from there. What's realistic? What traffic counts tell us? All the things that are sort of analytical and logical, in that sort of thinking and dreaming big. Again, this is not the only way to participate. Hard copies, if you need them, call me, let me know. I'll get them to you. I'll hand deliver. And there are a number of pages to engage. But thank you for that, Clark.
And just to further build on what's been said, I just want to emphasize that these are not designs. These are really just ideas, with the activity on the Engage website being receiving feedback from all of you about where you think these strategies are appropriate. I mean, maybe you think none of them are appropriate, or some of them are just off the table, and we need to know that too. And then once we see what everybody thinks about where the ideas are best, then we'll move forward and do conceptual designs. So we typically do not like to do designs without at least getting some significant feedback from the communities. So that, if you just bear with me one more second, I'm going to go back to the website. Sorry, I have to shift screens around here. Okay, can you see the website? Someone say yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. So the second part of our exercise on the website here are looking at these 11 strategies, which you can see here, and you can scroll through all of them and look at them in more depth and think about what they are. And then you can come down here to the model strategy locator and add a marker. So you pick a place, click on that, and then it says select a category. So you can pick any one of these elements and show us where you think it should be, and then submit it. So that way we'll know which of these strategies are most feasible or most desirable among the community, where they would be best placed. And then that will inform us about where the priority areas are for doing the detailed design. So we will be providing detailed conceptual design for 2 areas, and they will be based on your feedback. Share screen. So just going back to the presentation, let me just get this. We just wanted to give you some idea of what the timeline was. And as LaShawn mentioned, we were working in February and March preparing for our live community meeting. COVID kind of brought that to a screeching halt. We had a break until recently, and then we regrouped and formulated the plan to do this digital outreach. And we are to the point where we have our first community meeting. We're asking for your feedback. Once we have that, we will provide the 2 conceptual designs. And then the final product is a memo that gets submitted to the city and to MCC and to the EPA that really describes the whole process that we've been through, shows the detailed designs, and then also provides information on implementation, and also provides us a spreadsheet of some funding sources to help you get started with the next steps. So we do appreciate all the comments that we've gotten this evening, but we also want you to continue to provide us with your thoughts. So please do go to the Engage Pittsburgh website. And as LaShawn said, if you need to or want to provide your comments by another means, please let us know so we can accommodate you. LaShawn has the hard copies at the MCC offices. We can also email you a copy of the presentation. So please tell us which model strategies should be located in Manchester Chateau. And just because there are 11 strategies there doesn't mean all 11 are appropriate for your neighborhood. We just wanted to throw out a lot of different ideas for consideration and see which ones are most appropriate. Where do those model strategies go, and which areas are most important for the detailed design? So again, feel free to continue to submit your comments through the Facebook page here. You can also provide comments on the Engage website, and then also you can drop comments personally to LaShawn. So the comment period will be open for another week, and we look forward to continuing to hear from you. So let's go back to the chat and we can see. So Jenny asked whether the people who live on Manhattan Street will welcome these new ideas. Well, I think that's something that we need to hear from you. Manhattan was identified as a green corridor. And so what that means can take many different forms, as we've said. So we're looking for your feedback to let us know.
Zolna, if I can add something there, that's the really neat thing about the way that this process is occurring. And as Clark had mentioned not that long ago, is that we're doing things a little bit differently here, which is, we're spurring some ideas, sharing some potential concepts and approaches, strategies, and then people get to think about those, digest those, give input as it relates to those. And the outcome is really based upon that consensus and those thoughts and feelings. So I don't know how the people on Manhattan would feel if there were some changes, and maybe some of those very specific changes that have been mentioned here in the presentation. But now is the time to speak about those and share your thoughts and feelings. And I'm hopeful that, we'll get a lot of input.
Any of our other speakers have anything to add? Stephanie, Joy, or Clark, you want to?
Well, the Engage page will be open through November 18th. And actually a little beyond
November
that.
18th.
So for another 5 weeks or so, we'll be gathering input, and we'll probably have some solid numbers that we can share in a report at the end of this to get to the numbers of folks that we were able to reach in the neighborhood. But all of you can play a role by spreading the word on the engagement page, and helping your neighbors engage through the process, either through MCC or through the website.
And thank you to Mary for her comments
call.
there. I'm glad she's excited. Hopefully she'll give some more input and stay engaged in this. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, we do really appreciate everyone's thoughts and comments. And really, that's what makes the plan great, is that, it's really based on things that you want to see.
Right. And as LaShawn said, this is supposed to be the fun part. This is where it's like the brainstorming. You guys are coming up with your ideas and giving inputs. And then the implementation is that's down the road some. But ideas have to start somewhere. And so they might as well start with you.
Exactly.
Couldn't have said it better, Clark. Couldn't have said it better.
All right. So if nobody else has any further thoughts, I guess we'll wrap it up for this evening, but we hope to hear from you on the Engage website page or through LaShawn. Just let us know. We're happy to accommodate as much as we can. So thank you, everybody. Sorry again, we can't be there in person. We're looking forward to visiting Pittsburgh, but hopefully we'll catch you soon.
Zona, can I just verify one more moment before we might leave? Are we verifying that the send us your comments page link is accurate on there?
It is not accurate. I just realized that it is this one at the top, the Engage Pittsburgh PA.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, this one, I forgot the PA.
Okay.
So I will correct that on the website.
Fantastic.
Yeah. engage.pittsburghpa.gov/Manchester-Chateau.
Okay.
And Renee, thank you for putting that into the chat or in the comments. Thank you for that.
And again, if anybody wants hard copy, feel free, contact me at MCC at 412-323-1743. And as well via email at L as in Larry, F as in Frank, AULK at Manchester Citizens, all one word plural, .org. It has been great having everyone here this evening.
LaShawn, can you just repeat your phone number and I'm going to put it up here?
Sure. 412-323-1743.
Okay, great. Well, that information is in the chat. So thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate your feedback and look forward to receiving more.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.